right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Taped Crusaders, the podcast that reviews every single superhero adaptation ever made. I'm your co-host, Mike Allen, as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Crow.
Yes, The Crow. So if you're watching this, you probably know all about The Crow. But Champion, do you know about The Crow? That's the real question.
Hi. I do now.
Okay.
I do now.
First time?
First time.
Wow,
First time ever.
okay.
First time ever. And this was 1994, was it? This was, where would I have been in 1994? I would have been in high school still. I would have been...
You would have been rocking an axe the way The Crow did in this movie, I think.
Nobody rocks an axe quite that hard. Quite that hard. But no, this was... I think this movie was aimed towards like me and my particular people, but sure. I didn't really care at the time.
So now anyone watching this knows about The Crow, okay? So there's probably nothing we can tell them they don't already know. I'm just going to tell them three things. This was created by James O'Barr, who's from Detroit. Detroit's 800 meters away from us right now.
800 yards. If you're talking about Detroit, you have to use...
It's about 800 yards. I don't want to get too personal, but one of James O'Barr's ex-wives was my art teacher in Windsor, Ontario. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
she was a lovely woman. She was great art teacher. That's all I'm going to say. And I've met James O'Barr at many conventions. Many people have. He's notoriously not a cool guy, and that he's kind of an asshole. But we'll leave it at that. We're not going to get personal.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's not here. We're not going to talk to him. So
exactly.
If he's a
but
jerk,
I'll just
he's a jerk.
say that I've read the comics. They're pretty cool. It's an indie comic. It's, as far as I know, he owns it himself. I don't know. I think that this was... this has a cult following. I think there was 2 or 3 sequels. There was a TV series. There's a reboot coming out very soon.
Thank God.
And I think it's a very cool idea. Yeah, I think there was. Maybe I'm wrong. We don't do research on the show, so I'll never know. But I think it's a cool idea, and I have a lot of good things to say about this movie, and it was slightly better than the first 3 times I saw it. Josh, what do you think?
This was my first time watching it as well.
Interesting. Okay.
I knew of this character, but I had never seen anything about them. I don't even think I've read the comics.
Wow, okay.
So this was my first time jumping in, and it's interesting. I love the idea, and I love the premise. And it was enjoyable, the movie. I don't think it was for me. I don't know. I get the appeal of it.
You've been doing comic book podcasts for 5 years, so why would it be for you?
Right.
It's not like you have black nail polish on or anything. Like no goth affectations whatsoever.
I don't think it was directly at me. I think there was a slight... What are the Venn diagram? I was on the Venn diagram somewhere. But I will say, though, that compared to 90s superhero films, this is one of the best ones. Maybe that's not saying much, but visually incredible. I think that there was certain things that this film did that were as good or better than what Tim Burton's Batman did. In fact, there's a couple things that I was talking to some of our audience members. They think that they were lifted by Christopher Nolan for the Dark Knight trilogy, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Champion, I want to know what you thought. This is your first time seeing it.
It was... What's the word you said? Interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to use that word too, but not like interesting in a way that the movie was interesting. Like it's interesting, everything about it, everything that surrounds it, the fact that it has such a cult following, the fact that there are a lot of people out there that this is their favorite movie.
Yes, that's true.
And watching it, I know that we have to look at this through the lens of what was going on in 1994 in terms of what was available for movie watching.
Sure.
And superhero movies in this time period were terrible for the most part.
Yes, true. And we know that on this show.
Yeah, we've seen some of them. Mm-hmm. And this one, it's better, but there's not... In terms of a movie, it sort of falls on its face a little bit because there's not... There's not much of an arc for our character.
Yeah.
There's not much of a plot. There's not much of a story. There's a lot of really cheesy shit that happens. But it's fun, but it's really empty calories.
Okay, this is what I'll say, and I noticed this the last time I watched it, like 5 or 10 years ago. There isn't actually a story.
No.
There's a setup, there's a premise, and there's a payoff, but there's no in between. There's no middle act. Like from the second scene, he decides, I'm going to get revenge, and then the entire movie is him getting revenge.
Yeah.
There's no obstacles, there's no twist, there's almost no twist. There's no twists.
There's no.
There's no reversals. There's no nothing. It's now. That being said, there are other things I'll talk about that I really do like, but the actual plot, I will agree, is bare bones. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah. I'll agree with you on that. There is no actual arc. There's no character.
Yeah, nobody does anything really in this movie besides the Crow who kills the bad guys.
Right.
Like, there's nothing for anybody to do.
People either kill or they are killed.
Right. And I like the... I like the premise of this. I love the setup. It's just that, like, why didn't we give Ernie Hudson something to do? Why didn't we, like, maybe have the characters who could die in some sort of peril at some point in the movie? Even when they kidnap the girl, I'm like, it's too late for this.
Yeah, the movie's over in 5 minutes. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to...
Yeah, nothing's happened up until this point, so I know that nothing bad is going to happen.
You know what?
Actually,
I got to point out, because you mentioned the girl, and this is what I was going to say about the movie, is the actual plot of the Crow and the bad guys is very basic and straightforward. But I think the extra dimension of this movie is the relationship of the girl with the Crow and the girl with her mother. The mother has a mini arc. The fact that the mother is a...
It's the smallest arc.
But no, it's this
tiny,
big. But here's the thing, though, is that we're going to compare this movie to Batman. What does this movie do that Batman doesn't do? Well, one thing is the Crow actually intercedes on a specific person, a real person, and then kind of like points her in the right direction. And we see the results of that. The fact that she tries to turn her life around, kick her drug habit, become a better mother to her daughter. I mean, again, it's a 5-minute little sequence, but I think it's worth noting that no Batman movie has ever really done that.
They do that, yeah.
Maybe in the Batman, the new one, maybe a little bit.
I'm trying to remember if there was anything like that. But
and this young girl character, there's a character in the Catwoman comics by Ed Brubaker called Holly. Actually, I think she was introduced by Frank Miller, so maybe there's some parallels there. It's almost like the Crow and Batman are like a what's that called, a double helix, influencing each other, because this film came out in the mid-90s, but I think it did influence Nolan's Batman with when he lights the fire that lights the Crow, which was stolen by Nolan for Dark Knight Rises with the bat.
Yeah.
And then just him being chased by the cops reminds me of Dark Knight Rises.
Even some moments of the Crow reminded me of the Joker.
Yeah. The white makeup with the smile that goes a little bit too far.
That was even just the way he acts and his mannerisms kind of had like a Heath Ledger feel to it.
When the bad guys are sitting at the table and he just walks in, I'm like, this is the Joker.
Yeah,
the camera's behind him, following him in. This is the Joker. Yeah, 100%.
Even how he's kind of laughing it up sometimes and toying with the bad guys.
Yeah,
kind of has this sort of Heath Ledger feel to it.
I agree.
But
the problem with that is that Brandon Lee can't act.
I think he's fine. I don't think he's bad. You think he's a bad actor?
I think
Rest in peace.
No, I don't think he's a very good actor at all.
Interesting.
I think
no.
I don't think this movie, aside from Ernie Hudson was the only actor in this film.
Wait, you're not going to diss the lead bad guy, are you? What's his name?
The guy with the long hair?
The guy with the long hair?
Yeah, no.
He was a good villain. Come on.
He was fun.
He was cheesy.
Yeah, but I think he was perfect for that role. Perfect.
If they gave him a little bit more to do in the film, I think that him chewing up these crazy set pieces and things like that would be so much fun. But it almost feels out of place at times.
Do you have? Does someone have a phone here or something that can
We've got a
access the
thing.
internet so that we can see the cast?
Sure.
Okay, I gotta say, bad guy number 1 with the long hair. What's his name? Ian? Do you know?
Oh, you know what? I don't remember these people's names.
So
Was it Top Dollar? Was it T-Bird? Fun Boy?
No,
it wasn't
I think it was
Fun
Top
Boy.
Dollar.
It must have been
Top
Top
Dollar.
Well,
Dollar.
anyway, I think he was great. Of course, there's no pictures. But
Michael
also,
Wincott.
bad guy
from
number
Toronto, Ontario.
bad guy number 2 is awesome too. Who's bad guy number 2? The big black dude. He's awesome.
Oh, that was Tintin, I think.
Okay, Tintin. Let's look at a picture of
Tintin.
him.
No, the other
It's good that
the
we
other
don't.
guy with the specs you're talking about, right? Like
Oh,
he's got like the
yeah. Are you talking the henchman or are you talking the other bad
Bad
guy?
guy number 2. Like there's the
The
long-haired
henchman,
guy,
yeah.
and then there's a second bad guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like sniping the crow.
yeah,
Oh,
sniping the
that
crow.
guy.
Great actor.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
He's in
I've
a
seen him
bunch
in
of
other
stuff,
movies.
too.
Yeah, he's
like
great.
a funny
Yeah.
actor usually.
He's good, yeah.
He had some stage presence, but
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was really doing. I didn't get the motivation of these bad guys.
Well, that's
other
the
than,
writing, I think, right?
Well,
Not the
yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: the writing. Okay, the plot. The plot might be the worst thing about the movie. I think the idea is great. I think the director's great, but yeah, somehow in between. Again, if you can compare this to Batman by Tim Burton has more of a plot, but this movie is comparable visually. I think it's comparable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
the set. I guess so. But then, but like Tim Burton also is like so extravagant with the set pieces. Like Gotham, that could have been any city. Gotham was Gotham. You can't confuse Tim Burton's Gotham for any other city, right?
Yes, but this is like the second best. You know what I mean? It's like no, but and it's supposed to be Detroit, but they never say Detroit. They say Motown once, and you said in the news they said Detroit, but they don't explicitly say it's Detroit. But there are some shots in the film where it's clearly a set. Like they show the horizon, and it's which is kind of cool because it looks like a fictional fairy tale. Grimy city, which is kind of cool. So there's also okay. There's a couple times where we laughed out loud, and one of them was when we hear a guitar on the soundtrack, and we're like, "Oh, what great melodic music!" And then we realize, "Oh no, it's the Crow playing the guitar,
the electric
and then
guitar on the
second or
rooftops.
third time he does that." It's like clearly on a soundstage, and it's like the sun setting in the background,
Right.
and he just picks up the guitar and starts smashing the amp. That was actually a cool shot. That was a cool shot, right, Ian? What do you think?
It was, maybe, yeah. In service of a different movie, that would have been a great shot.
Okay.
If I felt any emotion at any point during this, if at any point there was
Little
any
bit
sort of
cold.
a stake, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here's my big problem with this movie.
Sure.
We learn 5 minutes in that the Crow can't be killed. We learn 5 minutes in when he goes up, when the Crow leads him to his old penthouse, and he's getting these memories back because he touched the cat, and the cat
Yeah.
has memories, and he does this little thing where he jumps through the window, but he grabs on and he swings back for
Yeah.
some reason,
Yeah,
and he
to
comes
show
back
off.
down, and he's got
to
these.
look cool as fuck.
Yeah.
That's why.
And he's got these marks on his hands, the stigmata,
Yeah.
and it heals before our eyes. So we're told explicitly 5 minutes in that our protagonist can't be injured.
So what's
So what's the point? Why am
What's
I
the
going to
word-
care? So from then on, all we saw is him getting shot and nothing happening, and him killing the people that he wants to kill. He had no challenges. So there's no reason for me to get emotionally invested, which means that a moody shot of him playing guitar up on the roof in the sunset is like, I don't care about this either.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that there's a difference. I like camp, but it was just a little too on the nose. Like it's just too obvious at times with what it's trying to say and what it's trying to do. Like even down to the first shot of this movie is like a swooping shot of the city, and we're going through all of these buildings, and it says October 30th. Devil's Night.
Okay.
And so even that, I'm like, okay, like why didn't you like set that up as like a part of the story. I don't know. It was just
Okay,
like
but
so.
Factoid number 4 for our viewers out there. Would you like to know something?
Sure.
I thought Devil's Night was an international thing. It's only in Detroit and Windsor. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's specifically a thing that happens in Detroit, and then because of that, we imitate Detroit. So for people, anyone else watching this movie, they might not know what Devil's Night is. So I think that's why they put that there. This whole idea of like arson and all that.
But then that doesn't even set it up for anybody else then.
Well,
you know what I mean? So if it is this made up concept, it's actually worse in my opinion.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
I agree with you, because at this point, it's like Devil's Night. People that know about Devil's Night, we don't need to be told.
Yeah.
People that don't know about Devil's Night are going to look at what the hell's that?
What the hell's
yeah.
Well, okay, then maybe they should have made it more explicit that it was Detroit then. Would that have helped?
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's just down to that I would have rather seen these gangs and why they're terrorizing the city and things like that, right? And then even later on, it's like a year later, and he's like, "Ugh, it's so boring now. Devil's Night. Nobody has any fun." It's like, wasn't it just a year ago you were blowing up like buildings, and now all of a sudden, like it just.
Which reminds me of one. Okay, this is also the problem that Tim Burton's Batman and Returns had, is that this movie feels like it's all one night on one set. If in between the opening act and then the 1 year later, if we saw daylight and things happening and Ernie Hudson going about his. But it's like, oh, it's been 1 year. Well, it feels like a minute because nothing's changed between scene 3 and 4, right? Yeah. That's part of the problem. But the other thing is, the opening of the movie, why would you open this movie with the aftermath of the crime? Why wouldn't you open it with Eric Draven and his girlfriend having a normal date, and then this scene happens? Like, that'd be infinitely better of an opening, right?
It would be great to get to know some of these characters before we know what happens to them.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing.
He can go out to go grab takeout, and she's like, "Don't go. It's Devil's Night. Like, no, don't worry, blah, blah, blah." And then you've already set it up more than just that title at the beginning.
That's a good point. I'll give you that. Okay, that's a good point.
We're attached to both of the characters, and then we feel like...
And also, start with normal. Start with normal date, normal people. Then you introduce violence, chaos, and then the magic and the mysticism. But when you're opening up, it's almost like your opening shot is mystic of the crow. It's almost like the crow POV of flying, and it's like Devil's Night, and it already looks like a music video. You're like, oh.
And we're sort of told everything in voiceover. This kid is sort of saying, "Oh, sometimes a crow takes someone's soul."
Right. Yeah.
And like, that might also be why it feels like there's even less of a plot, because the first thing that we're introduced to is that this guy dies and comes back like immediately. So we don't even get like a moment to live with this death.
That's
and then
a good point.
Feel like it's a thing that happens that he comes back. You know he just immediately is back.
That's a good point.
And getting revenge.
I think the problem is that I think, again, it's a good idea. It's a good concept. The visuals are good. The tone is great.
Yeah.
But it's like the writers don't understand that a story has to unfold and happen over time, but it's almost like they have all of their ideas and they dump them on you in the first minute. And then there's nothing else, right?
Yeah.
That's it. I think that's the key problem. What do you think, Ian?
I think that what they wanted to do was show Brandon Lee killing a bunch of people. Yeah. That was their story. We're going to watch this dude kill some people. How do we get there?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a revenge thing. His girlfriend dies. All right, let's go with it. And that's it.
Right.
That's all the thought that they put into it.
You know what?
Well, one thing, it is a comic book, and the writer was dealing with the death of his real girlfriend. So I know what you're saying. It's the same idea, but it's more just like the writer said, I want to kill the people responsible, but there was nothing else beyond that.
Right.
But yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
Why not have it almost set from like the POV of the bad guys? We don't know that the crow was this victim.
Yeah.
And like we are finding out as these bad guys are being chased down. Like we can still see from the POV of the crow maybe, but we don't have the context of what happened before. So
that's actually a really good idea. No,
so he is just killing people, right? But then the audience is the person that's putting together the puzzle of what's happening, and we're just learning it through the dialogue of the Crow and the bad guys.
Okay, this is...
You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to write a whole big arc or story happening. They could have...
Well, okay, you actually raised a really good point, because I think one of the things that makes Batman unique is that I think it was Adam Hughes the one said that you draw Batman like a villain, even though he's the hero. And I think it works for the whole story itself. If you, when you're writing a Batman story, it's almost like Batman is Halloween in reverse. In a Halloween or Friday the 13th story, you have innocent people being chased by a bad guy who's a serial killer, and you don't know why, where he's coming from, what he's doing. And in a Batman story, it's kind of reversed. But in this, it's like you said, they could have just done it like, okay, they go and they kill the girl and the guy, and a year goes by, and then all of a sudden this guy comes back, and it's exactly like you said, but it's like Halloween where, who's this guy? Why is he killing us? And they have to figure it out as they go along. And it could have been a horror movie in reverse. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But instead, again, I think it's a case of all style over substance. Like, they got everything right except the actual plot, the underlying plot. That's what I think. I think it has heart, though. I think it does have heart.
Yeah,
like
I still had fun watching it.
Yeah, I think Ian, you said Ernie Hudson had nothing to do, or was it you, Josh?
Yeah.
But I actually think when the Crow is being chased by the cops, which is a cool shot, a cool sequence, and then Ernie Hudson lets him jump in the car with him, that's pretty cool. Like, it's like Commissioner Gordon intervening and helping Batman, and like, I'm going to go against the police force and help you. That's a pretty cool thing.
It would have been a better scene if we weren't dealing with the fact that the Crow can't be killed or injured.
That's a major problem.
Why does he need Ernie Hudson's help getting away?
Yeah.
Then they can shoot him as he's walking away slowly, and there won't be any problems. But he has to dive in the car and then disappear. Is a good scene.
Yeah.
Taken on its own, but it doesn't fit I mean, it fits, but it doesn't have any weight.
I guess they had to define his limitations. Like, there was one limitation, which is what the Asian girl figures out. Why? Who knows?
Yeah.
If we take away the Crow, that will, erase his power. I don't know how she knows that.
Yeah, that's not established at all.
No, but she does grab the Crow, and then it does weaken him because he says, oh, I could heal myself, now I can't. So that's like a legitimate, like, that's his kryptonite. But that's not enough because, like you said, the whole movie, no matter what happens to him, he just keeps getting healed.
And even that was kind of confusing because they shot the Crow and now they shoot him and he's injured, but the Crow's still alive.
Yeah.
So does the Crow have to be perfectly healthy?
Right.
The Crow is kind of hurt, so now he can be hurt, but what's the extent of his potential injury now? And then she takes the Crow away, but it's still alive. And how does her holding it have anything to do with this? Because it's flying around. Nowhere near him, he's getting shot and he's all right. So it's not like
it's not
he
like
has to be holding it.
Yeah. It's not like he has to touch the Crow to heal.
Yeah.
Because then, again, that could also give some stakes. Like, he needs to get out of this situation so he can go heal up and keep doing this thing. So, yeah, I love the camp of it. I really love the bad guys in this movie.
I do too. I love the bad guys.
Absolutely ridiculous. Some of the one-liners are really fun. I get why people love this movie, and I want to love this the same way. It just doesn't click with me as much.
Sure.
And maybe it's because I'm watching it now and not when I was like a teenager, like watching this for the first time.
I think it's, to be honest, like, I mean, let's be fair. I think it is a good movie, but it's one of those movies like The Prophecy, or which is another movie by the same director, Highlander, which has a lot of fans, but you watch those movies and you're like, okay, this is good, but take it easy. Like, it's not that good, It's a good genre film, and it has a really good visual style, and it's got a good idea, but it's not like a masterpiece by any means. Now, Ian, on your thingy there that can access the interweb, can you tell us, was there a TV show, or how many sequels were there? If you can go to the top and go Crow franchise.
Sequels, we've got...
How would they even make a sequel to this?
Well, I mean,
because, like,
we'll find out if we review them on this show, but I don't know. I mean, they'll just just bring him back and he'll
Right
kill
at
more
the
bad
beginning,
guys.
at the beginning of the first one, he just crawled out of his grave.
Yeah.
What's
Sure,
stopping him from crawling out of his grave again?
Sure,
and
but
and his
wasn't it because
girlfriend
of
was just
revenge?
standing there at the end.
Yeah, so I think the idea is that now he's in heaven and he's
Right.
reunited with his girlfriend. So in the
Yeah.
sequels, maybe he'll just come back and kill more bad guys. Does it say there, Ian? I don't know.
There's a 1996 sequel of The Crow City of Angels. The Crow
96?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 1998,
wow.
The Crow Stairway to Heaven was a
Sweet.
Canadian television series
Oh, Canadian, cool.
starring Mark Dacascos in the role of Eric Draven.
Well, I bet you that people are watching this. They're like, how can you not even know about those? And how can you not have already seen them? But we haven't seen them. We haven't reviewed them. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. If you demand it.
There have been 4 Crow movies, actually.
4 plus
Yeah.
the reboot that's coming out very soon.
My goodness. This
So,
is too many.
I guess the question is, do we want to watch more sequels? Do we want to watch every single episode of the TV show, Josh? What do you think?
So I really did enjoy watching this movie, despite me like hating on it
Slagging
for the past half hour.
Yeah, yeah.
I did have a lot of fun watching it. I'm glad that I did. I do not think that the sequels are going to be good. I can't imagine it getting better from here. There's no story left for this character to come back.
Okay.
So I think any reason for them to make a sequel is going to be like a stretch. It feels like a good one and done film. I don't want to see anymore.
Oh,
I'm interested to see maybe the premise and things like that, but I'm not excited to watch the movie.
okay, understandable. Ian, what do you think?
There wasn't even enough here for one movie.
Ooh,
There wasn't
salty.
enough for one movie. And again, like you, Josh, I can see why people like this movie, but I think it has a lot of the hype and a lot of the reverence for this movie come with being young, watching it at the time, and having
Sure.
all this nostalgia. And it is very much directed at a very specific cultural little group,
niche,
right?
Yeah, subculture.
If you're a goth or goth adjacent or have dabbled in that sort of world at all, you're going to look at this and you're going to see a lot of things that feel familiar.
Sure,
And that's who this movie is speaking to.
Sure.
It's not speaking to me. So I look at a lot of the things that I'm sure people look at and say, "Oh my God, that's so cool," and I think it's a little silly. It doesn't resonate with me. I'm looking for more than watching a guy that can't be killed killing a bunch of people. It just doesn't. I was watching it and I was enjoying it, but I wasn't in any way engaged. I was on my phone a little bit more than I am on a normal movie. Just kind of like, I'm not going to miss much. Right?
I was on my phone 0 times. I was enthralled, but anyway, I gave it my all. I do think it was slightly better than the last time I saw it, so I'll give it that. But I do agree. I see all the flaws that you guys see, all the flaws. Like, it's not a great movie, but I think it has promise. And again, with a better plot, I think it could have been great. Now, maybe the remake will have more plot, but probably not.
Yeah, I hope so, but
It won't.
I wouldn't count on it.
No.
You can't have much less, though.
Yeah.
So
It
they
also-
might accidentally be better.
Yeah.
It also probably has like a gigantic inflated budget too, right?
The new
Like,
one?
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
to. So
We'll see.
I don't know. I don't think it has much hope.
Well-
But because I feel like the audience is so narrow
Niche.
for this, right?
Right.
Like I don't think
That's a
that
good point.
mainstream
And
audiences are going to be interested in seeing.
And that's what
Crow.
sabotaged Blade Runner 2049 and Furiosa and all these sequels to these cult films, right? That never did good in the first place.
Right.
But anyway, let us know. Do you want us to review Crow, City of Angels, Crow, Stairway to Heaven, and what's the TV series called? Crow.
The Stairway to
That's
Heaven
the
is a TV
Stairway to
series.
Oh,
Heaven,
Stairway to
yeah.
Heaven. What's Crow 3 called?
The Crow Salvation,
Salvation.
and then the Crow Wicked Prayer.
Oh, sounds good to me. Okay,
Sick.
let us know, folks. And Josh, you can tell us what happens next.
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff over on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. All of our podcasts are video formats. You can see our faces. You can see the comics that we're talking about as we're talking about them. So you can find that over on our YouTube channel. Let us know what you guys think about the stuff we're talking about, the movies, comics, The Crow, and keep in touch.
That's right. Till the next time. See you later.
And remember, it can't rain all the time.